You're listening to the IT Career Energizer podcast, episode 16.
Welcome to the IT Career Energizer podcast. For anyone who wants to build and grow a career in IT, develop and improve your strengths and skills, be inspired and motivated by the successes of others, manage your career progression, and achieve your IT career goals. And now, your host, Phil Burgess.
Hi, Phil here, and welcome to the IT Career Energizer podcast, where I chat with inspiring IT professionals, consultants, and experts each week. To find out more about the podcast, visit itcareerenergizer.com. And now let's chat with today's featured guest, Cory Lebson. Cory has been a user experience consultant for over 20 years, with a primary focus on user research and evaluation and UX training. Cory is also author of the UX Careers Handbook and is a LinkedIn learning instructor, as well as a frequent writer and speaker on UX methods and career-related topics. So Cory, could you maybe fill in a little bit around that brief bio?
Sure. I mean, basically, I've spent the entirety of my career doing UX research, and been a freelancer for many of those years. So it's been an exciting journey for me to be able to write the book, to be able to do the LinkedIn learning courses, and really just to kind of do so many different things with respect to UX careers.
Can you share with us a unique career tip that the IT Career Energizer audience need to know and probably don't?
Sure. So, really what I think one of the most important things one could do for their career is, in fact, outside of the workplace. I've found a lot of career success with my involvement with UXPA, the User Experience Professionals Association, as well as just doing different things that, I call UX adventure, but really doing things that you may or may not be paid for, but it really kind of increases someone's ability to be visible, to be seen, and ultimately it helps their career through these voluntary activities.
Yeah, appearing at things like conferences and maybe doing a little bit above what you'd expect to do within your day-to-day job, I think definitely adds value to your own career.
For sure.
Could you tell us about your worst IT career moment, and what did you learn from that experience?
Really, I think as a consultant, the worst moments are when the client says something and you try to process it and to hear it, but you don't hear it in the way that they expect you to hear it. Now, it's one of those things that, then you've got to go back and forth and say, hey, what are you really trying to say? What are you really trying to help have me understand? And recognizing those moments, I think, is sometimes hard. Sometimes it's a difficult thing, really, for anyone. But kind of capturing those moments and saying, "Hey, I don't understand. This doesn't make sense. So let's figure out how to find some explanation, some solution that will make sense to both of us, so that we can be communicating in the same way on the same page."
Yeah. So obviously you touched on the word communication there. I think that's often key. When it comes to actually career worst moments, it tends to be a breakdown of communication in some way.
Yeah. I mean, I think that that's the biggest risk, but also the opportunity for the most success when things do go right, and when you do align those communication and channels and really synchronize the conversation in a way that really helps. And particularly as a consultant, you only get one shot often at a lot of these communications. So being able to fix them on the fly is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you able to provide maybe a real example of where that may have happened?
Through the years, there's certainly been times where I didn't understand what someone was saying. Even when the words make sense. I could think of one consulting engagement where I was developing a research plan, and the client said, "Well, we need you to get at this." and this particular thing. So I said, okay, and I drew up the research plan. The client said, no, that's not this. That's not the thing that we were talking about. So then I did it again, and then they said, okay, that's most of the way there, but there's still a little bit more about this. And then I did another round of it, and finally, yes, okay, you've captured this. You've captured this thing that I was trying to get at, but kind of being able to prepare for, it's 2 rounds of going through this communication. It was successful in the end, but I do remember thinking to myself, I hope I got it right this time. I hope I got it right this time. And finally, a sigh of relief that I got it right.
Yeah, I would have thought that's quite common in your particular area, if you like, given that it is very sort of user-facing.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on from your worst moment, perhaps you can tell us maybe about your IT career highlight.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, the highlight of my career really is the adventure of it all. Actually, if you Google UX adventure, I think I'm proudly say I'll get the top couple hits, even though one could argue that no one searches for UX adventure, but if they did. But basically, the most exciting thing for me in my career is really the writing that I do, the things that you mentioned at the beginning, the Linda LinkedIn Learning courses, the book, the articles, the talks, the work I've done with UXPA. Really, for me, that's been kind of the most exciting thing. And that said, I really do enjoy my research activities as well. But that's even in some ways overshadowed in my mind by kind of the most exciting things I've gotten to do in the last couple of years, even as I do these exciting, cool research projects of various technology.
What was the reason for writing the book? Did you have a particular reason for doing it?
Well, so originally I was speaking about the topic, and it just became a topic I was interested in really through my volunteer work, and got to the point where it just made sense that I said, this is a topic that really there's been no commercially published book about UX careers. There still isn't, and I mean aside from mine. And I said, it seems like something that needs to be filled. And it was interesting because I talked to a couple publishers, and they were a little worried about the idea of the UX careers book. They said, well, career UX, it changes, careers change, methods, why don't you write a methods book? Because methods are much more stable. Careers they're constantly evolving. And I said, there are things that aren't going to change that quickly. With my current publisher, they understood that. So while the book has all those things that hopefully don't change too quickly, it links heavily to a website which right now has some information, but it leaves it open to the possibility of if other things do change, I'll be able to change that dynamically without having to worry about the core information of the book, which I believe should be pretty stable over time.
Right. What's the one thing that excites you about the future of a career in IT?
Well, I mean, really in UX, one of the most exciting things is that the technology is always changing. And as a user experience professional, one doesn't necessarily have to worry too much about the nuances of the languages used or the technology of the back end. Certainly there's a need to understand some basics. But what's really exciting is I get to play with these new technologies as they evolve, whether it's artificial intelligence or voice or augmented reality.
Yeah.
Not that I've had that much opportunity to really work with these technologies yet, but it's going to be coming. In my research frame, I'm going to have the opportunity probably to do research on these emerging technologies, and I'm looking forward to that. And without too much worry about what's made them happen, you get to really experience different things, and that's for me why UX has resonated for so many years.
Sure. You mentioned VR in particular. That is something that seems to be gathering momentum. Things like the Oculus Rift and so forth. Is that an area that really interests you?
Well, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I think augmented reality is actually going to be, I think is going to make a bigger impact on society than virtual reality, because with augmented reality now you're interfacing with the real world, and virtual reality has existed for a fair amount of time. Granted, processing power hasn't been good enough to really get it to go forward maybe as quickly as it could have. But with augmented reality now, we've got this opportunity to overlay what's already there, and there's something more natural about that, and more perhaps seamless. And we've seen Pokemon Go as kind of one first foray into augmented reality, but yes. I do believe it's going to increase over time.
Okay, I'm going to go into the reveal round now. So what first attracted you to a career in IT?
Well, so really I had started college back in the early 90s, and I was very interested in psychology and the way people's minds worked. And I had to, as part of my curriculum, work in one of the professors' research labs in psychology. And there was one professor who was doing basically what I'm doing today: user research, usability testing, and the like. And I asked him if I could intern in his lab, and he said certainly. And it was really that one experience which really impacted the entirety of the next 20-some years, where what I learned so long ago is the same kinds of things, in an evolved form for sure, but the same kinds of things that I'm doing today. So that really got my interest. Now, and that said, I don't even know that I think of it as saying, oh, I want a career in IT, I'm going to do user experience. It was more, I want to know the way people's minds work, and I love technology. I love the way technology evolves. Okay, now this is the way to join IT with psychology and with these social sciences.
What is the best career advice you've ever received?
I would say that some of the best career advice that I've received is to kind of pause for a moment sometimes. You're moving, you feel like there's always something to do, there's always something that needs to get accomplished, there's a deadline, but sometimes it's so important just to stop for a moment and say, hey, why am I doing this? Does this make sense? Let's do a quick check. You might say to yourself, you might say to other people, let's just pause and take a breath. And make sure that things are on track. Make sure, we talked earlier about communication. Make sure that our communication is on track. Make sure that our timeline is appropriate and makes sense, and we're not rushing too much, and that all the factors align. So really, kind of that stop or that pause, really is critical often to project success.
If you were to begin your IT career again right now, what would you do?
Really, I think I would do the same thing. I've thought about that. If I could do it again, what would I do? And I keep arriving at, I do the same thing. The one thing that's always that I've wondered about, I when I was in psychology alone, I was a psychology major, and I never took any business classes as an undergraduate. And later, I became interested kind of in business theory, business process, and maybe 5 years later, I got an MBA. But and I took many business classes and really enjoyed them. If I could do my academics over, I may have maybe double majored in psychology and business, maybe still gotten the MBA. But it was interesting that for me, I didn't discover that junction with business, or at least business theory and business process, until a couple of years after I had graduated with my undergraduate degree.
If you were to begin your IT career again, there would be obviously differences in terms of how it was when you started to what it would be like now. So are you able to give maybe a little bit of an insight into how you think it might be different?
Sure. So, one thing that I really thought when I was, 15 years ago, the path to career success is ultimately leadership, and leadership specifically in the workplace. That is, you work as a practitioner for a number of years, and then you go up one step, and now you manage people, and you go up another step, and you manage more people. And I believed, that was just the way things worked, and that's the way you progress. So then I started. I did consulting for a while, and I managed smaller teams. I managed a little bit bigger teams, and then I managed some staff, some contractors, and then I realized that's not what you need. And I found leadership through other ways, like I talked about UXPA and the writing and thought leadership and so on. But it took me a while to realize, and probably it was not maybe until like about 10 years ago, that I finally came to terms with the fact that what I really enjoy is being a practitioner. I really enjoy the work, and leadership is not the natural or the only way that one could advance their career.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think there are two almost distinct avenues you can take within your career. You can go down a technical route, or you can potentially go down a leadership or management route.
Yes, yeah.
What career objectives are you focusing on right now?
So it's interesting. I had some goals set out with UXPA, with the book, with writing a book, with doing the articles and giving talks and so on. Now I hope to still continue my practitioner work, and basically, I'm a freelancer, so I get to do a little bit of this and a little bit of that in terms of the kinds of user research, usability testing, ethnography, interviews, all kinds of the research that I've been doing. So, I hope to continue doing that. But meanwhile, I'm also trying to figure out what the next adventure is, and beyond the work adventure that kind of comes naturally. But continue giving the talks, continue doing the writing. I've been speaking a little bit more about freelancing, actually, and that was my most recent two Linda LinkedIn Learning courses, and talking about that and helping people on the freelancing track when they want to. But by and large, being that practitioner, and then as a researcher, and then doing something else. So, it's undefined, but hopefully it will be defined in another year, maybe.
What's the number one non-technical skill that has helped you in your career to date?
Certainly I think the soft skills have been particularly important as a consultant. Any one of those soft skills, but being able to communicate, being able to by and large, understand what people are saying, whether they're coming from a more techie background or a more business background, or really wherever they are, or a marketing background, and being able to translate between the backgrounds when there's stakeholders from various different parts of a company. And, being able to do that translation, being able to have that communication, I think, has gotten me far. As well as just a diverse background with the, degree in the psychology, the sociology, the business, being able to look at things through different lenses. So, in my own career, I believe that's helped me, a fair bit.
Can you share a parting piece of career advice with the IT Career Energizer audience?
I think that, I would say the most or an important thing is to be true to yourself. If somebody is very happy in their career, great. But keep in mind, even if you're very happy, that something may change, whether it's your boss or your company. So be prepared. Always prepare yourself for something in the future. And if you're not happy, and that something in the future, that different new thing is going to be coming a lot faster, certainly explore possibilities. Don't be scared. Don't be afraid or hesitant to try something new, to try something a little bit different. It's an exciting world out there, with the way technology is advancing, the new permutations on careers, the flexibility, the freelancing. There's just so many choices out there, and while it can be overwhelming or seem overwhelming, really just going through methodically and saying, okay, well, who am I? What do I want? What do I need? What will make me happy? And then changing things up in a way that will.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with that. And finally, can you tell us maybe the best way we can find out more about you and potentially connect with you?
Sure, absolutely. My website is lebsontech.com, and then my LinkedIn website is just LinkedIn/in/Lebson. But you can just Google me really, and I think I even have a little Google card that will pop up there. But you really any way that anyone wants is fine, and certainly feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Feel free to follow me on Twitter at Cory Lebson, and I'm happy to get to connect with any listeners who are out there.
Cory, thank you so much for being on the IT Career Energizer podcast today. It's been great talking to you.
Great talking with you as well.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this week's great interview with Cory Lebson. Full show notes can be found on the website at itcareerenergizer.com/e16. And while you're at the website, you can download your free copy of 11 top career tips for IT professionals, many of which have been previously discussed on the show. In next week's episode, I'll be talking with Paul Gerard, an award-winning software engineering consultant, author and coach. If you haven't already done so, please remember to subscribe in iTunes or Stitcher to get future episodes automatically downloaded to your device. And if you're enjoying the podcast, I'd really appreciate you leaving a rating and review in iTunes or Stitcher about the show. Have a great week.
Thanks for listening to the IT Career Energizer podcast. To find out more about building a successful career in IT, visit itcareerenergizer.com.